The following episode of Middle School GSA contains graphic discussion of potentially upsetting topics, including sexual assault. Please listen at your own risk. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Middle School GSA podcast, the show where we discuss a variety of issues. I'm your host, Demigloom, she, her, joined by my co-host, Felonious Ferris.
They, them.
How are you doing today?
I'm all right. I've been watching One Piece.
Oh, really? Is that so? I had no idea. You have yet
so
to make
much.
it apparent to me that you're watching and enjoying One Piece. Is that why you wanted to talk about anime? Just so you could lecture me about One Piece? Have you been holding it in? Have you been saving it for this?
No.
Okay.
I want to talk about anime because I really like anime.
Fair enough.
If you didn't already know.
And I don't like anime, so this will be a pretty interesting conversation. But first, we have a little bit of user engagement or fan engagement to get out of the way. First of all, brand new news. We have a voicemail line officially. You can leave a voicemail at this, and no matter how many slurs you say, we will still play it on the show. So anybody can get on this show. You can guest for 30 seconds by calling 70. It'll be in the description of all episodes from now on, and I encourage everybody who's enjoying the show to leave a voicemail. Tell us what you think.
Yeah!
Now, that being said, we didn't announce the voicemail line on the previous episode, but I did among my own community, and we have 2 voicemails to play. So,
For real?
Yeah.
That's crazy!
Now, this first voicemail here is from somebody who I've never heard of this person. The name is Squeeze Out the Last. I don't know what that means, but we're gonna play their voicemail and see what they have to say.
Hey, this is Sir Squeebo the Laugh. I've just got one question for you. How many liberals does it take to screw in a light bulb? Okay, seriously though. Love the podcast. And I do have a question for Felonious Ferris. My question is, you told me that you started watching One Piece.
Yes!
When we last talked, you just started Fishman Island. And that got me thinking, what is your favorite arc, favorite character, as well as least favorite arc and least favorite character? Also, what are your thoughts on Bon Clay? Also, just Bon Clay. I love Bon Clay. Anyways, keep up the good work. Anyways, get back to me at, you can send me a postcard at 308 Negro Royal Lane.
Very funny, very wacky and original.
Mexico. So, alright. Thanks. Bye-bye.
So Squeeze Out the Last wants to know your favorite and least favorite arcs and characters from One Piece.
I'm almost 600 episodes in. I'm at Punk Hazard right now. But so far, my favorite arc has to be Water 7 and Impel Down, which is kind of, they're technically separate arcs, but I don't know, I almost consider them one arc. It's so good. There's so many moments that are just so easy to connect with. And it's difficult to describe why without absolutely spoiling the hell out of everything. And my favorite character has to be, I bet Demigloom already knows this, but it's Shanks.
Why would I know that? You think I remember the name of anybody from this show?
Because I kind of constantly gush about my favorite characters in our group chat.
You think I read the group chat?
I know you
No,
at least do a little bit.
I do. I read a lot of the group chat. I'm not even gonna lie. I check it every day. They want to know your opinions on what else was it?
I think they said bonsais, like the plant or the way of cultivating plants.
That is not what they said.
Really? I think it is. Or something that sounds similar.
They said Bon Clay.
I fucking love Bon Clay. Oh my gosh, what a great character.
How could you not know that they were talking about Bon Clay when you thought bonsai?
I don't know. But, see, this is actually kind of an interesting question because he is a really mean-spirited caricature of a queer man, but is represented so favorably. Is represented as just this great stand-up guy who just saves everyone's asses multiple times, and it's really interesting. It's the kind of, like, there's people cry over this character and what this character does, even though the rest of the time he's mostly just like weird comedic relief. I don't know. It's one of those things that I'm conflicted about, but I love Bon Clay.
Okay. Our next voicemail comes in from Insanity. I don't know who this person is. I haven't heard this. Let's just see what they have to say.
Hey, Demigloom, it's me, Insanity. I did the cover art for your podcast. I was wondering, when are you gonna pay me? No, like seriously, when are you gonna pay me? It's been like 3-4 months. Look, you didn't like it. You could have just said so. I'm sorry. Just call me back. Please pay me.
I don't know who that is. This podcast cover art certainly wasn't made by somebody named Insanity. Everybody here at Demigloom Incorporated is paid livable wages, and we're fine. Okay, I'm not paying my employees. I'm an ethical business owner, and want nothing less than the best for everybody who works for me. With that out of the way, we do have some comments to read from the last video. Zane says, "Let's go, new MSGSA episode." True, that it is a new MSGSA episode. The Joyous Days. Okay. David Fern says, "The Founding Fathers been real quiet since this one dropped." It's true. I haven't seen them say anything. I haven't heard any public statement from the Founding Fathers regarding the Constitution ever since that episode came out. So I think we debunked them. I don't think they have anything to say.
Yep.
We just dropped that microphone and they never picked it up. They time-stamped what I believe is us talking about Walmart, me talking about occupying a Walmart. And they said, "Wet dream scenario for real." Also, the states' rights shit is used as a dog whistle a lot of the time. Like, would people pretend the Civil War was about that instead of slavery, or during the Civil Rights Movement where people were like, "I'm against the Civil Rights Act, not because I support segregation, but because the federal government shouldn't have that power." Like, fuck off, bruh. Yeah, I agree with everything you have to say. States' rights is often used as a dog whistle, or just as an excuse to advocate for the oppression of others. And when I said, I shouldn't have even said state rights, honestly, because saying that just leaves a sour taste in my mouth. But I do genuinely think that leaving certain issues up to the state is a good idea. Obviously not regarding like human rights, but yeah. Do you have any opinion?
No, yeah, that checks out.
Yeah.
See, the thing is, it's literally the phrase that libertarians use. I think we were talking about libertarians and how their whole deal is like states' rights and more power to state governments and less to the federal government.
Yeah. I mean, libertarians have been stealing like really basic like lingo and like basically claiming it as their own and just souring the connotations of so many words. The word libertarian in and of itself they've taken from us. So fuck the Libertarian Party. Fuck you, Gary Johnson. Fuck you, John McAfee. I know you did. I know you killed yourself. You're not important enough to get killed by the government. This person Riel. Their name is spelled Riely. I don't know what the hell that's about. Really and Friends says, "Of course they would swear a senator in on a Superman comic. He stands for truth, justice, and the American way." It's true.
So true.
Yeah.
But he is an illegal alien.
That is true.
He immigrated into the United States illegally.
Yeah, does he have a green card?
Yeah, show us the papers, Superman.
Yeah, I never thought about that. That's crazy, actually.
Show us your birth certificate.
I don't think he has a birth certificate.
See?
Yeah. Well, that's the end of the show. I hope you guys enjoyed listening to this episode of Middle School GSA. Yeah, with all that fan interaction out of the way, all the performative obligations we have set aside, what else do we have to talk about? I know sushi and autism are two things that we need to talk about really quickly.
Yeah. So let's start with sushi.
Okay. What about sushi? What's so interesting about sushi that we have to talk about it?
So despite the autism, I am a big fan of sushi. And I heard that Demigloom had never tried sushi before, so I took her to lunch at a sushi place, and I went in anticipating that she was not going to like it.
You lied at
Almost.
first. You were like, "Oh, I think you're probably gonna
didn't.
like some of this," and then like, no, like days before we actually went, you were like, "I could probably find
No,
something you're gonna like."
I don't think I actually said
You
that.
you heavily
I think-
implied that you like believed that there was some desirable sushi experience waiting for me, and that you were gonna
See-
fucking give me the keys to the kingdom.
I see it's you just said, "Oh, I don't like fish." And I was like, I said the true statement that sushi is kind of different
Hello?
from like baked cooked fish, because the whole process of making sushi meat is completely different and yields
Whoa.
a better quality product.
Whoa. You just came back in. You were like silent for the past like minute.
What?
You were like silent for the past minute.
Well, fuck you, Discord. It definitely is recording on Audacity.
Okay, whatever. Cool. Well, I guess I'll know what you just said there in a couple hours. Yeah. So tell. Do I have to tell the shameful story of me eating sushi?
I can tell it.
Yeah, do it. Do it for me.
Um,
I'll play the fucking video on the screen since we don't have Patreon anymore. Fuck you guys.
Yeah, so I made sure that she ordered stuff that wasn't sushi, and then I ordered sushi for myself, and then gave her one piece of sushi. It was a spicy tuna roll, which, looking back, see, I gave you the options, and one of them was tuna with spicy mayo, and you picked that one out, but I should have gotten you to pick a different one, because the mayo really enhances the slime factor, which
Yeah,
is
but I love
probably,
mayonnaise.
like, but paired with fish, it just gets really slimy.
Listen, it doesn't matter. I'm a fucking Caucasian with a basic, like, uninteresting, lame, unsophisticated palate. Fucking mayonnaise will make anything better. And if mayonnaise doesn't make something better, then it means that there's something wrong with it.
I just
That's why I fucking
think
hate cereal. Jesus Christ, man.
You hate cereal? Okay, wait. We have to get back. So I got you to try this one spicy tuna, and she could not even get it down, folks. She almost immediately spit it back out onto her plate.
I chewed it up, and like as I tried to
chewed it a
swallow
little
it,
bit.
I chewed it as
Not
much as I could.
completely.
But not like I chewed it, but like it didn't like it was like so like tough. Like they did
What?
it was like impenetrable. Like
What
the
the
actual
fuck?
fish itself.
No way. You must what?
I
don't
didn't
know,
bite
maybe
through
you
it.
just
I
suck
bit it
at
and it
eating.
just I'm I'm not good enough. Skill issue.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it was I tried to swallow it. I tried to swallow like part of it. And as soon as like as soon as I tried to swallow it, as soon as it like got even close to my throat, that shit just instantly fucking projectiled its way out of my mouth immediately. My body instantly rejected it. Like it was an involuntary response. I wanted to swallow that. You think I wanted to spit that shit out and look like a dumbass? No. But yeah, it's over. I hate sushi. It's disgusting. And I'm never going to try it again.
I love sushi.
Lame.
Oh my.
Also, I don't hate cereal. I was just making a joke about mayonnaise. Cereal's the bomb.
I was gonna say, that's like a really, like, I've never heard of someone with an aversion to cereal.
My friend, my bestie, Cat World, who I'll probably talk about on this episode, she fucking eats cereal without milk exclusively. And
You know, that's kind of valid, because milk, it's kind of gross, to be honest.
milk is
I
fucking
do-
delicious.
I put milk on my cereal, but it tastes funny. It like leaves you this weird aftertaste where it's like sour and you need to brush your teeth afterwards, otherwise your mouth feels all gross.
What?
And
What kind of
I
milk? Are you
can't-
having? Are
I
you eating like?
can't-
Are you drinking like whole milk, like 100%?
2%.
2%? You have this problem with 2%?
Yeah.
Maybe you should switch to 1%.
Are you telling
I don't
me
know.
that your mouth doesn't get all sour after
No.
you drink milk?
Not at all.
Do you only drink chocolate milk or something?
You think I'm not that autistic, okay? Jesus Christ. I drink 2% and I drink 1%. I think I prefer 1%. I kind of go back and forth, but that's what I drink. I drink it frequently. Oh, you only drink chocolate. But do you think I'm that shameless? Do you really think I'm that pathetic? I only drink chocolate milk.
It would be kind of typical.
Okay.
It would be kind of typical.
If I only drank chocolate milk, I would like preface this conversation with that. I wouldn't think I have a stake in the milk drinking conversation and be like, what are you talking about? I only drink chocolate milk. Am I that pathetic?
Like, if you really liked chocolate milk though, if you like drank a lot of chocolate milk, drank a lot of chocolate milk.
I have drank a lot of chocolate milk. I don't frequently get my hands on it, but like I do really like it.
Chalky milk it's a trans woman thing, okay?
I prefer strawberry milk, honestly.
That is also typical.
To honestly, to both of them, I would maybe this is the most autistic trans thing ever, but I put the strawberry and the chocolate syrup. I make chocolate strawberry milk, and that shit is the fucking bomb. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
If you feel like spending fucking $90 because that shit is expensive. But yeah,
I can't even tell. Like, I need someone else to sniff the milk for me to make sure that it's not spoiled, because I can't tell. It all just smells funky to me.
There's just something wrong with your senses. I don't know what to say. Are you human?
No. Comment down below if when you drink milk it makes your mouth taste weird and sour afterwards, and if all milk just smells a little off.
Yeah, again, like you're just describing like spoiled milk right now.
That's just what it all tastes like.
Do you get like all your like milk from the dumpster? Do you get it like days before it expires? Do you get the fucking expiration sale milk? I don't understand the problem.
No. I have accidentally drank spoiled milk before, and it is a different experience, I will say. Completely different.
Well, let me guess, you prefer spoiled milk? Because that would be more consistent.
No, that's true texture hell. That is just the worst kind of slimy.
I remember one time at my father's house was a fucking dump for the longest time period, and my little sister like left out a glass of milk for like almost like a week and a half, and I accidentally took a drink out of it because I thought it was my milk, and I didn't even get anything in my mouth, right? Because I just saw a glass of milk, right? And I don't know if you guys have seen that SpongeBob episode where Patrick like has a glass of milk and he like pours it out and it's just like looks like a fucking marshmallow. Like that's what it actually looked like. It was just straight up like a big ass marshmallow in a glass with like a little bit of like liquid surrounding it. And that shit like almost like touched my nose and I got a whiff of it and it was like, oh my god, that was the most nasty shit in my entire life.
Pretty gross.
Yeah, but I still love milk. Milk is delicious. Drink milk.
I'm a juice person. I'm a juice enjoyer.
I like juice too.
I'm also a water person. I drink so much water.
I try to drink as much water as possible, but I often go like entire days without drinking more than like one glass of liquid, and that's not good. I just don't
not good.
I don't have like the compulsion to like consume as much as other people do, so I oftentimes just neglect those needs. But generally speaking though, like I do enjoy drinking a fuck ton of water throughout the day. It's a good experience. And honestly, like if you go like a couple days like just drinking nothing but water, like it pretty much eliminates like the need or desire to have anything else to drink. Like I used to drink soda like every single day until I decided one day I was just going to stop drinking soda, and I went like 2 weeks without drinking soda and only drinking water, and now water is pretty much the only thing that I ever need to drink.
It's so good.
Do you ever get
I love it.
Do you ever get like the impulse, the need to drink milk when you eat like cookies or brownies or anything?
Absolutely not.
No, because see, to me,
only with cereal.
To me, when I eat a cookie or a brownie or something like along those lines, chocolate cake or any cake, I guess, like my throat is just like it just needs milk. Like my body requires milk, and I can't think about anything besides milk, to the point where I will not eat cookies, brownies, or anything unless I have a fat fucking glass of milk to drink with it. If we're out of milk, I'm not eating a slice of cake. Period.
I don't ever get a compulsion to drink milk.
Well, except for with cereal.
Except for with cereal.
I mean, is that even drinking? When you're done with your cereal, do you drink the milk or do you just pour it out?
Yes, I do drink the milk.
Okay, well then shut the hell up. You're a hypocrite.
I don't want to waste it.
So it's purely utilitarian. It has nothing to do with a compulsion.
Yes.
You don't.
In fact, a lot of the time I need to force myself to drink it.
Ugh. You fucking milk haters. Stay losing. Milk is the shit. Milk is the bomb.
I know, my bones are weak. So weak.
What are we discussing on this episode?
Autism?
Oh yeah,
we didn't. Autism.
We do have to talk about autism. That's right. Tell everybody the good news.
Maybe we shouldn't do this.
You don't want to?
No, it's fine. Yeah, it's every queer AFAB's greatest dream. I was diagnosed with autism. It's such a huge flex. I can, like, if I see, like, a bunch of goths walking down the street, I can shout out my car window, I just got diagnosed with autism, and they'd all be so jealous of me.
Yeah?
Yeah.
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 So has anything changed? Do you feel more clarity? Do you feel less, like, confused regarding any of your behavior, or do you feel like you've kind of just known this the whole time and it's just on paper now?
I do. I kind of had an odd moment of clarity where I was relieved and happy, but there was this kind of underlying sense of, I guess it kind of validated all the distaste that my peers have had for me for my entire life, where it was like, oh, so everyone really does just think I'm weird and hate me for no reason. It validated that, which was a little depressing for a second, and then I went back to being happy.
Yeah. Wow. I'm really happy for you. You know, being autistic is probably really awesome, and I'm never gonna know how it feels.
Oh yeah, for sure. You will never know how it feels.
No, never.
Never.
I swear to God, I am not autistic, and I don't believe I am.
Comment down below if you think Demigloom is autistic.
Somebody did comment on episode 1, actually, like after we recorded episode 2. I should probably read that regarding my autism, I believe. Oh yeah, okay. So David Fern says, I rarely comment on anything, but as one of the, like, 4 people this appeals to, go fuck yourself. This appeals to way more than 4 people. I figured I might as well. I find Demi's deranged backstory and edginess down to earth and likable. I don't like what David Fern is saying about me. I don't like these implications. I've never been severely depressed and suicidal, but I can relate to saying random fucked up things you don't believe and have retained some edginess from my pre-gay leftist days. Granted, my opinion may sour if and when she elaborates on her pro-child murder stances. Also, I'm autistic. It Demi definitely sounds like she's on the spectrum. I don't think I'm autistic, genuinely speaking. I make jokes about it because people have constantly, like, labeled a lot of my characteristics as autistic, but I am saying it right now. I do not have any reason to believe that I have autism, and I think Felonious Ferris they really just feel like alone in this world, and they just want more people to relate to them than, you know, reality would speak to. But I digress.
I see one of the things. See, there's typical autism symptoms, and then there's atypical, and both are equally autistic. It's just one is more researched and observed. And you do this thing, like, the first time I like really had, like, a real conversation with you in real life.
When was this?
It was just maybe, oh geez.
Are you talking about last school year? When we ate lunch together?
Yeah.
And you said something bad about Republicans, and I was like, yeah, Republicans are bad. I agree.
but it was just haunting because for those of you who don't know Demi in real life or haven't seen a great picture of her, she has bright blue eyes, like really extremely bright. And she does this thing where she'll just stare into your soul with these like wide, bright blue eyes. I told her she has haunted doll eyes.
I will either avoid eye contact like the plague or just stare at you like the fluoride stare.
Yeah, and it is so freaky, and you'll just like have this unblinking stare. And that was very autistic of you. Just gotta say.
Listen, okay, I was neurodivergent and a minor. That doesn't mean I was autistic. It just meant that I really liked Minecraft. What are we talking about today? I'm done with this conversation.
Okay.
Well, I guess it is the same.
Anime.
I guess it is the same topic if we're gonna be real. But
Yeah.
anime.
I just want to talk about anime because it's consumed my life for like the past 6 years.
Very much like autism.
Yeah, and I like pretty much 25% of my waking thoughts are about anime.
I used to be like that, and I don't think you believe me when I say I was once a real anime fan, but I was, deep down inside, I truly believed in the power of anime. I watched anime constantly, all day, every day. Many sleepless nights. I think my record, I stayed up maybe 30 hours watching like one anime. It was wild. I was a huge anime fan from 8th grade to, I want to say, around 10th grade when I was a sophomore. I think when I was a junior in high school, I kind of stopped watching anime and got more into American cartoons because I'm a fucking man-child. But I was huge into anime, probably just as much as you are currently.
See, we're different. We were different. You were a slice of life fan.
No, not really. Not really. I watched like
Weren't
a
you?
couple. I watched like a couple slice of life shows. Like I couldn't even name like 3 that I watched. I watched Comic Girls with my bestie back in middle school.
That sounds like some fucking. That sounds like some 4chan shit. That sounds like.
Does it? It was actually.
That sounds like.
It was just a really wholesome show about these college girls. Or it was like this girl. She like moved out of her parents' house for the first time into a dorm with a couple other girls, and they make manga, and that's
Literally,
the whole point of the show.
all moe, all stuff with a mostly female cast and a female main character. That is all 4chan shit. All of the fans are insane.
Yeah, because everybody on 4chan has repressed gender dysphoria.
Yes.
Very few
Yes.
make it out alive like I did.
This is actually such a huge thing. It's so funny.
What?
Oh my god. What was that? Are you okay?
Why did you say you were getting water? Why did you inspire me to get water? Holy shit! I just choked on
Fucking
water.
honked. Oh my god.
Jesus Christ! Also, there's a cough. There's a really dramatic cough in the previous episode that I forgot to cut out, which is really funny. I just want everybody to know that I'm perfectly aware of that, and I am indeed ashamed. But yeah, back to fucking 4chan incels in anime.
Yeah. It's such a thing. And it's ironic because they're the ones who hate trans women in particular the most. And I think at the end of the day that comes down to 2 factors, which is one, that they're so miserable that they love finding people that they believe to be more vulnerable, more miserable, and they love just punching down on them. And I think that they're also angry when they see trans women out being happy and living their best lives. And they go, why can't that be me? But their shame and their, I don't know, biases prevent them from living that best life.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. I'm not going to sit here and defend anybody on 4chan. It's a really disgusting website.
I feel bad for them.
I don't really feel that bad for them anymore. Like, I don't know how familiar people are with me, but like that was like my whole thing. Is like I used to like go on 4chan and be like, guys, we could change. Everybody. I know I relate to you guys. I'm just a little bit different, and with a little bit of help and addressing some of your issues, you could be different too, and we could all live happily ever after. And it's just years and years of getting like bullied out of those communities was just enough for me to be like, yeah, fuck them.
Yeah.
Like at this
I don't blame
point,
you.
like I don't really give a shit. I mean, I can see that there is human suffering going on, and as a utilitarian, I'm against that in any context. But it's just, I don't know. I don't feel like I owe them anything personally. Like I gave them more than they could have ever asked for. Like just as a community member, I've interacted with them so positively. I've actively tarnished my own reputation by associating with vile people because I wanted them to be, you know what I mean? I wanted them to change, and they just don't. And once you sink that low, like there's just no pulling you out. And if you are a salvageable human being who's found yourself at that low, then chances are you're going to find yourself out through just like facts and logic, like I did, rather than some motherfucker on the internet telling you that you're wrong.
Yeah. I think that a lot of them have become completely comfortable in misery and giving up, and the fact that they've kind of resigned themselves to being constantly suicidal and lacking a social life. I think that's become comfortable. It means there's comfort in giving up.
No, 100%.
I mean, recovery is a lot of work, and it's a long road, and by giving up and just surrendering to it and just becoming the worst human being possible, it's like having a good rest. And I'm probably only capable of sympathizing with them because I have had pretty minimal contact over the years with them. I do recently, something that I've been doing is I've been going into like anime spaces that are populated by those psychotic moe fans, and just trolling the hell out of them. Not in a way that I still believe isn't like super mean-spirited. Like, I'll see people exhibiting clear signs or memeing about having obvious symptoms of gender dysphoria, and I'll be like, take the estrogen pill. Take it.
No,
now.
No. Don't even be funny. Just say you are trans, and then don't respond when they respond. That's all you have to do. People saying you are trans is like, that's like the most offensive thing you could possibly say to them.
See,
but it's also like hits them like a
makes
brick.
It less threatening.
Less threatening than you are trans.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like a silly
I think it's more threatening
thing
to tell somebody you take the estrogen pills than to just say you are trans. You're not telling them to do anything. You're just telling them that, like you are exhibiting this behavior. Regardless of what you do moving forward, this is a word that describes you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
I see. It's a little quirky. It's a little cheeky. It's a little sassy, and I like to think that once in a blue moon, it makes one of them chuckle. And
it doesn't.
I don't know. See, it's funny because it's situations where I know that people are seeing it, but no one responds or reacts to it or interacts at all. And it's a situation where I think that they know that I'm right, but just don't want to acknowledge it at all, to the point where they don't even want to acknowledge that I said that to them.
I don't think they have any like grasp on reality at this point. I think that these people like on 4chan like acknowledge that they have lost their grip on reality, and that they're just living in their own like reality, which is just built around what's convenient for them. Like they literally just believe in convenience and nothing more.
Maybe. I'm not actually going on 4chan. I'm going to different places.
Yeah, don't go on 4chan. I I'm not even horrified of people going on 4chan anymore because it's just people like thirsting for femboys. When I say 4chan, I really mean like these adjacent communities like
Mm-hmm.
incel spaces or like fucking alt-right forums or gripers and like griper spaces and shit. I don't. I guess I want to make it clear that I do have sympathy for these people, and I do like hope that they can change. But I also don't feel like any obligation to really like have positive engagement with them, or I don't feel like I owe them any charity anymore because I've done everything that I possibly could to try to work with these people in a productive manner, and I've accomplished so little in so much amount of time, so much time. It's just not fun. To me
Yeah.
it's like, you know, like they say like these men feel invisible and whatnot, and it's like, yeah. I mean, you could say that, but also they don't want to be acknowledged. They've accepted that they feel invisible. They have this gut feeling that they're just going to run with for the rest of their lives. And when somebody notices them, they just deny because they're going to keep telling themselves that they're invisible and that nobody is going to reach out to them in good faith. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're listening to this and you're like a 4chan incel or a fucking groiper or some shit, like, I don't deny your humanity, but you have serious psychological problems that need to be addressed before I
You
can
know,
go on.
to tie this back into anime, that uh manga that I'm a big fan of, it's actually a pile of the books are sitting next to me right now, is Goodnight Pun Pun, which
Oh
is very
yeah.
much a story like that, of just a kid who is raised in an awful toxic environment and just spirals completely and ends up in a situation where he really is choosing to be unhappy. And it's a really gut wrenching, heartbreaking manga, but it's a great one. It's one of those things that all the manga nerds be like, read Goodnight Pun Pun and fucking Vagabond and shit. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I like, you know, I tried to read that one time, and then everybody told me to stop because they thought I would actually kill myself if once I got to the actual dark things. So
Yeah.
I was
I
just like,
mean,
yeah, you know what?
it's really depressing. It's a really
Yeah,
depressing manga.
I don't know. I've consumed a lot of depressing content, but I'm willing to
Yeah.
accept that I probably haven't found the most depressing shit, and that this is probably. I'm not saying like it's unworthy of my like levels of sadness, but like I'm telling you, like I've a lot of fucked up shit I've witnessed. Like a lot of really fucked up media has like
See,
basically tortured me. I'm
see,
not a stranger
the
to
thing
that.
with the thing with Pun Pun is it's not like your typical anime trauma porn. Like it's not. See, I say this as a big fan of the Tokyo Ghoul manga, not the anime. Um,
Tokyo Ghoul is really good.
but
I
it's
haven't finished it or anything, but I really like thoroughly enjoyed what I've read of it.
yeah, it's a great manga, but it is trauma porn. It is this like, what if we put this character through the most traumatic thing imaginable in this fantasy setting, and that's it a lot of the time. Like there, we just have these terribly traumatized characters. But Pun Pun, um, is it's bleak in a very real way. Like it's the kind of thing where you know all of these characters in real life. You've met people like this who are going through similar things and who have resigned themselves to being miserable. And it is just it's so visceral and so real, which makes it more disturbing and more depressing than a lot of other media that's kind of lumped in, that kind of trauma porn stuff. Of course, if you could just say, well, I used to go on Live Leak for fun and watch Chinese steel factory workers get fucking exploded and be like, that's the most traumatic thing. But
No,
but
that
yeah.
does nothing to me. I watched a lot of, I probably shouldn't admit this, but I've watched a lot of like actual gore throughout my childhood, and like everybody told me that it was like the most like depraved, like fucked up thing you will ever lay your eyes upon, and to me it was just like, no, I don't get it. Yeah, I watched a guy I watched a guy get set on fire, and then his head got chopped off with a chainsaw, and he ran around for 5 seconds like a fucking chicken, and it did not have any impact on me at all. But like, yeah,
Yeah.
no, it's like it's actual like it's I don't know if it's fucked up, but like fiction is much more horrifying to me than anything that reality has to offer. Or at least like not even necessarily that. It's that like stories are much more impactful on me than just visuals. So
Yeah.
I agree with what you've said, and I agree that that's probably the case with this Poon Poon book that you're talking about. Is it Poon Poon or Pun Pun?
It's Pun Pun.
Okay, sorry.
At least I think so. Maybe I've never heard someone pronounce it out loud and I'm just butchering it, and everyone who knows how it's actually pronounced is just trying to strangle me with their mind right now. But
They both
I
sound
think Pun
pretty
Pun
natural.
is kind of silly.
Pun Pun, yeah. We haven't talked about a single anime so far.
Yeah, we've kind of barely touched on it. We talked about psychotic moe fans.
Do we have anime in common? Are there anime that we both like?
I don't know.
I know there's go on.
I just know the like stuff that's so ridiculous and awful that you bring it up as a joke. You don't really talk about anime otherwise. So
Yeah, I mean that's a big part of my anime backstory is that when I was a kid I watched like really fucked up content and continued to like have like fond memories of it, and recently, as in like the last 2 years, I've like gone and rewatched a lot of that same shit and couldn't get through like episode 2 of it because it was so repulsive to me. I think when I was like 13, I would watch like anime and like not even like think twice if there was like sexual content involving like middle schoolers, like other people around my age. And now like looking back, it's like I can't I can't stomach it anymore. It's like if I made like a fucking sex tape when I was like 12 and like rewatching it. Like I just can't. It's disgusting.
Yeah. I completely understand and sympathize. But
Like gone.
no, it's you keep going.
I'm not going to pretend that like nothing was like degenerate from my perspective, but I definitely just consumed a lot of like really fucked up and horrible things that I'd say about like 70% of like the moral issues that I have with them today I didn't even like think about back then. But yeah, I don't have much else to say regarding that. It's just that's if anybody wonders why I don't like anime anymore, it's really because of that, because like this whole like back catalog of anime that I've grown to appreciate when I was a kid sort of just like as I grew older, it sort of started to show its degeneracy and its moral failings, its moral failure, and I just couldn't appreciate it anymore. And then I realized, like, wow, like all my favorite shows are actually fucking disgusting, and this is just not an artistic medium that I am invested in. It's almost like becoming invested in being like an anime fan is like a video game, and I just like hard reset it and just lost the motivation.
So what anime did you watch?
The fucked up ones?
Or just the normal ones?
So there's still good anime. There's anime that are you asking me what anime I like generally?
Yeah.
Um,
We have Madoka Magica.
I was just gonna bring that up, yeah. But I mean, I guess technically Death Note, which by the way, look up Kira's Kingdom podcast. We did. I'll probably link that in the description. We had a really funny discussion about Death Note with two of my friends. With Felonious Ferris guested on a podcast that I did with my friends about Death Note, and it was really funny. But we'd watched Death Note, and we also have Madoka Magica in common, which Madoka Magica is probably my favorite anime of all time, if not tied with Kashimashi, which is a show that nobody's fucking heard of.
Yeah, even I haven't heard of that.
Yeah, do you want to talk about Madoka Magica?
God, I fucking love Madoka Magica.
It's
just a well-crafted story, just a really well-crafted story, and it's not necessarily the most complicated, and it doesn't have the most profound hidden meaning, but it's just it's good storytelling, and it's put together in a way that's really impactful. It's just I it's just that so much media is just people make it up as they go along. But with Madoka Magica is one of those things where it's like things from the beginning clearly tie into things from the end, and it's this really coherent story that
Yeah. And then they made
I don't know,
Rebellion.
it's just yeah.
People shit on Rebellion. I actually like Rebellion. I think it was really I don't want to say it tied up loose ends because it didn't really address a lot of like things that like pre-existing themes in the show that didn't really have proper conclusions, but it did just like provide like a greater context that felt like a more true ending, even though it was like a strange cliffhanger. Madoka Magica is probably I've probably watched Madoka Magica more times, like all the way through, than I've watched any other show, and that's because I literally love it so much that I have to fucking like once I get close enough to a person, like I show them Madoka Magica. Like my best friend in 8th grade told me to watch Madoka Magica. I watched the entire thing in like 2 days, like one weekend, and from then on, I've been just watching it over and over again with different people, and it's just an amazing experience. If you haven't watched Madoka Magica, I strongly urge you to watch it like right now. Like stop listening to this podcast, go watch Madoka Magica. It's on Netflix. Is it on Netflix anymore? I think it's still on Netflix. Don't support
Maybe?
Crunchyroll. The fucking
Fuck Crunchyroll.
don't support those pedophiles at Crunchyroll. Pirate Madoka Magica.
Yeah,
go to Kiss
go
Anime.
on anime piracy r/anime piracy on Reddit. And they have a God, what's it called? An index of different piracy sites, and you can just pick one out that has no ads and is safe and use that. Yeah.
Yeah, pirate the shit out of it. Or, I mean, I would say support the creators, like buy it on Blu-ray or whatever, but first of all, that wouldn't support the creators. That would just support the whoever's publishing it. And also, anime Blu-rays are way too fucking expensive. I don't know what it is about anime Blu-rays in particular, but like literally like 6 episodes of an anime like on a Blu-ray is like fucking $60. It's insane.
I think that's probably only for stuff that's out of print.
No, it's like popular shows.
Really?
Yeah.
My dad gets me anime Blu-rays and says he's gonna watch them with me and then never does.
You better
but
appreciate the fuck out of your dad then.
There ain't no way. Hold on.
Okay, well, like name animes. Name like anime series that you have on Blu-ray.
Neon Genesis Evangelion, Cowboy Bebop.
Okay, that's like classic stuff. That's different. When I say anime, I'm talking about like current, like not even necessarily like current, but like when shit comes out that's like seasonal or I guess current anime. Super expensive on Blu-ray. Like once the season ends and it first comes out on Blu-ray, like it's always expensive.
I did look for Violet Evergarden on Blu-ray, and it's like a 12-episode anime or something like that, 11 maybe. And it was like $70, and I shrugged it off as Netflix produced Violet Evergarden, and I just shrugged it off as Netflix being money grubbing, but
yeah. I'm looking at this right now.
Yeah.
Haikyuu season 1, $55.99.
Isn't that's
$53?
Like, that's a pretty big season 1 though, isn't it? It's like at least 24 episodes.
Oh, I was hold on. I haven't even watched Haikyuu. I just have a sister that's a Haikyuu girl, unfortunately.
Haikyuu's fun. You should watch Haikyuu. I lost interest in like season 3 or something. I should go back to it. It's fun.
Yeah, is that the real woman test? I have to like Haikyuu, otherwise I'll never be a real woman. Fucking Haikyuu is, I don't know. It's like, so like they do this thing, like almost all anime, right? They have women that men are supposed to find hot, right? That's like the whole cast except the main character is a bunch of girls that are marketed as fucking fetishes, right? And these other shows, they do that with men, right? The same thing, where it's like all male characters, and I'm not a big fan. I don't like men as much as I like women.
Haikyuu was actually made by a real life man, and it's not as uwu yaoi as some would lead you to believe. It's a very real depiction of high school boys just being complete jackasses. And there are, just like real life, there are women who find them attractive despite that and drool over them. And yeah, it's not like intentionally fetishizing the characters though. It's actually really barely, like, there's barely even any shirtless shots.
Barely.
You watched Free. You watched fucking Free, which is exactly what you're describing.
Yeah, but I like
not
it.
Haikyuu.
Like there are instances where I think it's good. It's just statistically but like Free was like a genuinely like a good and like wholesome show.
I couldn't get through the first couple of episodes.
No, I watched the first couple of episodes at Anime Club. We never watch the anime at Anime Club, by the way. We go there to have government funded free snacks and just talk about edgy shit.
If the first time I met you was at Anime Club, I would have hated you. I hate people who talk during movies and during when people are watching stuff. And I think that you annoy the shit out of the other club members. There were definitely people who were like mumbling about you guys talking the whole time.
That's literally not true. Nobody cares. Okay, maybe
true.
that time because we were sitting at the front, but normally we like sit in the back where nobody can hear us.
Mm.
Either way, why would you want to go to an anime? They use Crunchyroll. If you want to watch anime, if you want like a super like attentive like viewing experience, watch that shit. Why don't you just watch the shit at home? Why are you at an anime club to be quiet with your friends?
I like enjoying stuff with people, but I don't
get it. I don't
people
get it.
just talking continuously through it. But yeah, anyway, what other anime do we have in common?
We have Death Note, fucking, I don't know, Naruto. Didn't you watch Naruto?
Yeah. I didn't.
Yeah.
I actually haven't finished Naruto Shippuden.
I haven't finished regular Naruto. I made it to like season 5.
I like regular Naruto. Naruto Shippuden is kind of ass, not gonna lie. Regular Naruto has such great moments, but they get into the kind of Dragon Ball-esque type power level pissing match.
Yeah.
In Naruto Shippuden, which I'm just not as into.
It's the same exact scene, like the dramatic, like where against all odds, like the nearly defeated hero, like has a sudden like burst of motivation or power and defeats the bad guy. Like that same exact
Deus
premise
Ex
happens
Machina.
50,000 times.
Yeah,
it's
to
fucking it's shitty.
To be fair, see, I'm a simple person, okay? Shonen Jump can release the exact same fucking show 50 times, and I will eat it the fuck up every time.
Yeah, but it's not a good show.
Every time we have this sunshiny himbo protagonist, but he has a demon inside of him. And he has a friend who's emo, and he has a friend who's a girl, and he has a sensei who is absurdly powerful and is this kind of goal where we look at the sensei and we know that our character will be like that one day. And our character, he also has a kind of far-sighted goal. Like, I'm gonna be the Hokage, or I'm gonna be the king of the pirates. Shit like that. And there's like 15, genuinely, not even exaggerating, different anime like this that are all exactly that. That are
it's true.
That exact, extremely specific archetype. And every time I'm like, holy shit, it's a himbo protagonist with a demon inside of him. Oh my god. And I love it.
The middle school GSA anime is going to be much cooler than that.
I love it so much.
We're not doing any of that fucking cliche shit. Except you're the sensei, obviously. You're obviously my sensei because you took me to the mountains to fight bears and become a better leftist. But generally speaking, I don't like shonen anime. They're fucking annoying. It's like I watched Naruto, so like every episode 1 of another shonen anime is just the same shit.
Didn't you just watch Chainsaw Man? That is, I mean, Chainsaw Man, it's
It's published by
exact-
Shonen Jump, but it's not like that at all.
It is the Demigloom. Demigloom. He's a himbo protagonist
Yes,
with a
check.
demon inside of him. He has a friend who's
okay,
who's emo.
but that's not. But he's
he
not.
has a friend
he's not
who's
like
emo, and
it's different.
a friend who's a girl. And
It's different though.
And Makima
The relationship-
and that other fucking Dilf sensei.
The relationship he has with Makima, at least I'm fucking 3 episodes in, okay? So maybe you're right, but the relationship
I'm
he has
exactly
with Makima
right.
is completely different than like what Naruto has with Kakashi. It's like a completely, because Makima clearly, I feel like I'm just gonna like say a bunch of wrong shit about Chainsaw Man, which is because I haven't seen a lot of it. So never mind, fuck it. But I like it so far. It doesn't feel like a typical shonen anime to me.
It's that's because it's kind of compounded genres where it has these kind of typical shonen archetypes, but it's actually a seinen. It's for older audiences. There's too much sexuality and gross humor for it to actually, it's too gory for it to actually be a shonen. But it is shonen inspired.
Yeah, there's definitely like influence there. It doesn't seem like the same like copy paste formula. Like it's definitely like an interesting spin. At the very least, a very interesting spin on that premise.
See, yeah. I think that there's spins on that premise that are completely boring to me. See, I say this, I love talking shit about Black Clover, even though I watched every single almost 400 episodes of it and loved every second of it. Even it's a dumb as shit show though.
Yeah.
And like Blue Exorcist, just kind of bad shows. But then there's a lot of shows that are really interesting spins on these typical archetypes. Like Jujutsu Kaisen is a great example. I love Jujutsu Kaisen. I need to get caught up with the manga. I heard that it fell off, but that first season was delicious. Excellent. Just great.
So, like, what's your favorite, like, genre of anime, actually? Is it the fucking Shonen Jump copy and paste bullshit? Is that your favorite?
It's difficult. I am a huge fan of Shonen Jump copy and paste bullshit. I also I'm a big seinen fan. I like the darker stuff. I'm a Berserk fan, as some of you may know. Had a hell of a time as a Berserk fan, by the way. Berserk has, I'm used to the psychotic moe fans, but Berserk fans are incels who aren't closeted trans women.
Yeah, I mean, my friend Jason is a Berserk
terrible.
fan, so that checks out.
It's terrible. I'm just fucking in the trenches trying to find people to talk to about this fucking manga. It's terrible.
I've been considering reading Berserk for a long time, but
don't.
I just don't have the motivation. Why not?
Because you aren't able to set aside moral issues in the same way that I am, because, and this is really controversial take, I don't think that Berserk is a perfect piece of media, and I don't think that Kentaro Miura is God, Jesus of manga, even if I am a huge Berserk fan, just because there's
Didn't you like cry when he died though?
Yes, I did. I cried a lot. And just because I don't think that he's manga Jesus doesn't mean that I don't think that he's a great artist that I really look up to.
Yeah.
It's true though that there is a lot of rape and rape fetishism in Berserk.
Yeah.
Which
let me just give a really hot take here, okay? I don't like rape presented in media in any context other than a context that illustrates how morally repulsive it is.
Yeah.
I don't like rape fetishization. I don't like erotically filmed or illustrated rape. It's disgusting, and I don't want anything to do with any piece of media that contains that whatsoever. Same thing goes with like pedophilia, incest, other like actual like morally repulsive sexual degeneracy. I don't want anything to do with anything regarding like to do with that. And I do not give a fuck how good the show is otherwise. And I'm tired of anime fans. Oh, well, yeah, there's a little bit of pedo shit, and it's like just a little bit. Like that's if there was an American show with just a little bit of pedo shit in it, you motherfuckers would be like, they would be canceled on Twitter immediately for ever liking it or speaking about it positively. But for some reason, we just let anime have so much sexual degeneracy and morally repulsive shit. And it's not, and people say like, oh, it's just in these fucking, it's just fucking hentai, or it's just like this in the depths of like internet degeneracy, you'll find these anime. No, it's at fucking Hot Topic. It's at every fucking bookstore, and it's on middle schoolers' backpacks. It's everywhere. It's fucking everywhere. Fuck it. It's everywhere, and it's disgusting.
I honestly, I prefer the mindset that you have vastly over the majority of people who watch these shows and just make excuses after excuses for them, or get like shocked and offended when someone brings up these problematic aspects. I am an artist. I'm really considering doing art school. I know, cringe. And there's just something about so much anime that just really scratches the itch for me, both as an artist and it just makes me happy. And I think that the way that I do it isn't particularly problematic, because I, in general, make a big deal out of acknowledging the flaws of the art that I enjoy and like initiating discussions about it.
Yeah.
But it's this kind of middle ground that I'm sitting in. But I definitely prefer your position over the position of people who just want to pull the wool over their eyes and plug their ears and never acknowledge anything wrong with the art they enjoy, the art and media they enjoy, while just continuing to promote and enjoy it.
I'm not like against like consuming art that you disagree with morally or have moral issues with, like consuming it regardless of that. I mean, I'm a big fan of the show South Park, right? And South Park has inarguably advocated for positions of bigotry and hatred. they're explicitly transphobic and homophobic in multiple episodes throughout the years. But I enjoy the show in spite of that, and am able to acknowledge it and have a sort of love-hate relationship with it. But like, if I see you wearing a dragon-made backpack, I'm gonna beat the shit out of you. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
If you watch the entirety of, I'm gonna name 3 shows: Senko-san, Konosuba, and Dragon Maid. If you watched any of those shows in their entirety and have no moral issues with them, you're either a disgusting pervert or you're just horribly oblivious to degeneracy, and your brain has a confirmation bias that is looking for excuses to say that these things aren't sexual or promoting degeneracy. And when I say degeneracy, I understand that that's sort of a buzzword and a dog whistle for like to say about like gay people, right? Like gay people are sexually degenerate. When I say sexual degeneracy, I'm referring to like pedophilia. Pretty much pedophilia, rape, like, the anti-consent culture, that sort of thing. And it's actively promoted in all 3 of the shows that I mentioned. And you're disgusting if you're a fan of those shows. Get the fuck out of here if you're listening.
I think that these people can be saved because I used to, it's kind of like how you watched shows as a kid and then went back to them as an adult and realized, oh my gosh, this is disgusting. Like, when I first watched Dragon Maid, I was just like, aw, cute domestic lesbians, and one of them is a dragon. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And
the 2 little girls have, the girl has a crush on the other girl. Oh, that's so cute. That's what I thought when I watched it.
But kind of going forward, more and more, I felt more and more uneasy about it. And it became more and more difficult to acknowledge, like, oh yeah, we have some really, like, revealing leg shots of this little girl character. And that's pretty fucking vile.
Not to mention, the little boy's name is literally Shota.
Yeah,
and he's constantly getting molested, and it's played off as a joke. And he's visibly uncomfortable and terrified of this woman who is constantly just molesting him for jokes. It's repulsive.
Yeah.
And because it's, you know what I mean, I hate to sound like a men's rights activist, but there is like a double standard. Like it's perceived as more acceptable for an older woman and a little boy to have sexual like encounters. It's presented as more acceptable than with the genders swapped. And it's not like a men's rights issue. It's just a weird societal thing that somehow happened, and it's bad.
Yeah. It is really, 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 really bad. And I see one of the shows that I feel the most upset about is a show called Made in Abyss. And if you're a big anime person, you've probably heard of it if you haven't watched it. But Made in Abyss is a really, truly, it was kind of a revelation for me in terms of fantasy adventure shows. It is really, at times, it is just so genius. But the author is a huge fucking pedophile, and there's a lot of moments in the show where you're like, he's really getting off to all of this trauma that he's putting through these characters who are little kids.
Yeah.
And if you've seen just the Made in Abyss show and haven't watched the movie at all, you may be like, oh well, it's just like a coming of age story, and yeah, sure, there's weird moments, but it's not that bad. Maybe don't watch the movie because it's really, truly inexcusable and vile. And then people, I think part of the another revelation that it caused was just how blatant pedophilia can be in anime and manga, and still have people make excuses and kind of skirt around it.
Because it's literally like a confirmation bias that these people have. Because if these people are unable to discern like their like impulsive desire to justify their enjoyment of something from like an actual like logical position. Like they like this show, so their brain like compels them to keep liking the show, and they just instantly shut down like anything contrary to this show is great and unflawed.
It's I watched, after watching the movie, I was still feeling really conflicted about it. And I watched a video essay about this character from the movie called Bondrude. And it was this essay about his character almost praising him. Part of the deal with his character is he's a psychopath and experiments on children. And there's moments where like this character who's he refers to as his daughter, who he didn't like, isn't actually biologically related to, but who he adopted. And there's moments where it's like, oh yeah, he's definitely molesting her. There is no doubt. And it like not even like reading between the lines. Like it's blatant at times. Like you only need to think about it for a couple seconds longer than you otherwise would, and you're like, oh, that's what that means. And I watched this video essay, and it was just fucking bone chilling, because this guy was talking about it. I don't want to actually plug the video essay. I don't want it to get any fucking views. But talking about like Bondrude's twisted love, the way that he loved the children that he was experimenting on, and like really, really sympathizing with his character. And God, it was just nauseating. It was so fucking terrible. And the number of Made in Abyss fans that refuse to acknowledge these issues. I mean, I believe that the issues are so frequent and so egregious that there's really no way to promote it and consume it that is ethical. You can't go around saying, "Oh, Made in Abyss is my favorite anime," but oh yeah, the author definitely gets off on torturing little kids. And there's people that refuse to even acknowledge that the author is a lolicon, which everyone knows. Like there's pictures of him posed with like erotic merchandise of one of his child characters. It's like
that's repulsive.
Yeah. And it's terrible. And it makes me so fucking mad. Like it also just really breaks my heart because I really truly believe that he created something brilliant that is kind of it's top of the line, but we've just gone too far with condoning this behavior, and that like just there's a lot of issues with Japan's culture. And when I say that, there's always that one person who's like, well, it's a different culture and it's a different country, so you can't like use your morality and apply it to that other culture and country because that's not fair and you're being like have a colonial mindset. I don't know when it got so controversial to be anti-rape and anti-pedophilia and just anti-child exploitation in general.
Actually, the age of consent in Japan is 13, so you can't project your standards onto them.
Which isn't true, actually.
Yeah,
it's 18.
The federal age of consent is 13, but I believe there's very little places in Japan where you can actually fucking have sex with a 13-year-old legally.
Well, actually, the thing that happened was the Japanese federal government went to all the districts and was like, okay, you can set your own ages of consent. It can't be younger than 13, though. And then all of them set it to 18. And that's what happened, and that's where people get this idea that the age of consent is 13 in Japan, which just isn't true.
We're back to states' rights.
Yeah! Fucking libertarians, man. They just can't get over being pedophiles.
Yeah. I don't know. To be fair, I don't think most libertarians are like. I know that it's like the meme that libertarians don't believe in the age of consent. I haven't like I've spent a lot of time around libertarians because I'm a fucking internet user, and I don't think most of them actually advocate for lowering the age of consent or anything like that.
Yeah, it's just that the official stance of the American Libertarian Party was abolish the age of consent or lower the age of consent for so long.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
no, the party. There's a huge. I hate to defend libertarians, but there's a huge also like ideological gap between the majority of people who identify as libertarians and representatives of the Libertarian Party in America. Like I hate. I'm not saying like libertarians are like consistent people politically or that they're like useful allies to us, because I'm a fucking far leftist and I want nothing to do with libertarians, but some of these things just aren't true, and I want to be charitable.
Yeah, we shouldn't be misrepresenting people intentionally or resist like not misrepresenting people. Criticize people on what they actually believe. Don't make shit up that they believe and then criticize them on that.
There are people on the online left too that will literally justify just making shit up about people you don't like if it accomplishes your goals. My goal isn't to have billions of woke scolding performative activists on my side. My goal is for our population to have a good understanding of the issues we're dealing with and navigate all these issues logically. So in my opinion, like I don't think just because like we have the number of followers, we have the right support, you know?
Yeah.
I can't talk,
absolutely.
I'm sorry.
Absolutely. But yeah, it's something that really tortures me. Even recently, hold on. Recently it came out that Rurouni Kenshin is getting a new adaptation.
I'm sorry, who's that? Or what's that?
it's an older samurai anime. I think it started in the 90s. And it was this kind of old classic anime, and it's getting a new adaptation. The thing is, in 2017, the author of this was arrested on charges of child porn possession. He had so much child porn that the police initially thought that he was a distributor. And he went to court and admitted to it and paid the rough equivalent of $1,500 USD in fines, and then walked free. And he was suspended from Shonen Jump. He was briefly out of work, but obviously his work's getting a new adaptation, and that's something that he's going to profit from. And he's just
amazing.
He's just come back, and everyone's just forgotten about it. And people will get mad at you for bringing it up and earnestly defend this guy. Even Americans. And here, I'm not one to champion American culture ordinarily.
No.
But I think that the way that we handle pedophiles is a hell of a lot better than the way they do in Japan. Because here,
legally, yeah. I think socially we have the same exact problem.
Well,
at least regarding like people with like large followings, like particularly internet content creators being pedophiles, like it's basically considered defensible by the majority of people on the internet.
I don't think it's the majority of people. I think usually I think it's a great thing that we do here in America, where if someone is convicted of owning a bunch of child porn or molesting a child, they pretty much need to move states and change their name to avoid being beaten to death. And I think that is a whole lot better than just giving someone a slap on the wrist and having their career recover like nothing happened.
Yeah.
And even it's just it makes me so mad. And then talking about this online, you'll get those people like, "Oh, Japan, different culture. You can't judge them based off of American cultural values." It's he fucking beat his meat to 10-year-old girls.
Yeah.
Being molested. Videos of them being molested. He in court, he admitted to it and said that the girls that he liked were older elementary schoolers and younger middle schoolers.
Okay, can we please stop the explicit details here? Yeah. This person should not be profiting off of anything. They should not have a job in the industry.
Yeah.
May I remind everybody, just on a somewhat related note, that a lot of the people who worked on Boku no Pico had like major roles in the development of, I say development like it's a video game, fucking Full Metal Alchemist.
Yep.
Just putting it out there. Everybody. Just like another like little illustration of like how like prominent like pedophilia is in the anime industry.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And it's so normal. And even stuff, see, I'm generally inclined to believe that stuff written by women is going to be a little bit better. But even stuff written by women, where I feel like we should be on the same side about this, and I'll hear like a passing comment from a male character like, "Ooh, high school girls. I love high school girls." And it's like, what? This is just an accepted thing that we tolerate. And
I don't think America has even done enough to like socially condemn the sexualization of high school girls in particular.
Yeah. I don't think that we've done enough. I think that we've done more though. And I think that we
100%.
are,
I think we've successfully like socially ostracized anybody who is illustrated not I keep saying illustrated, shown any signs of wanting to have sex with elementary schoolers. Whereas in I can't speak for Japan, but within the anime industry, that is not enough to get you completely ostracized.
Yeah. There is stuff where people will be called out on it, but it's not enough to ruin their career, which I really think it should be doing. It's just not something that can be tolerated anymore.
I think it's really important to remember, too, that we're talking about both the Japanese justice system in Japan, and the anime industry in particular. These issues are incredibly amplified in those spaces. I think among the Japanese population, these issues are actually addressed much more maturely. And I've never been to Japan. I don't know anybody super well who lives in Japan, but to my knowledge, this social issue is not nearly as big a problem among like everyday like Japanese citizens as it is in the anime industry and as it is reflected in the justice system.
Yeah, it's really bad. And Japan, see, this is one of the reasons why I'm such a huge fan of Hayao Miyazaki, because he was like 50 years or more ahead of his time socially. Because if you look at
you're the only person I know who's like super into Miyazaki, but every time you talk about him I get super excited because he's so based. You've told me so many awesome things about him.
He's so based. If you look at Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind, which was 1969, the movie came out for that. Or
wait, what?
not 1969. Sorry, I misspoke. 1989.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure that's not true. I'm pretty sure that's when Astro Boy came out.
Yeah. Hayao Miyazaki did work on stuff previous to that, but that was his first movie that was released.
One of his best ones too. Jesus.
Yeah. Nausicaa of the Valley of the Wind is one of my favorite movies to this day. And there is just so much earnest female empowerment, and I almost, watching his movies, I almost wonder, is Hayao Miyazaki a woman? Secretly, because he does a lot of glorifying and empowering women, like, habitually in all of his movies. But
I think he saw a huge hole in the industry and wanted to fill it.
Yeah.
I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah. And even...
But unfortunately, we can't credit him because we have to support female creators. So fuck you, Miyazaki. You fucking, what is he? Is he, imperialist, male chauvinist? It's cultural appropriation. We need to listen to female voices instead of letting men speak on behalf of women because it's not their prerogative.
He was a Marxist as a young man.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
But what changed? Did he grow sour regarding Marxism, or did he just give up?
He was kind of vague about it. My general impression of him is that at his core, he is a naive optimist who sees all of the beauty in the world and all of the best parts about humanity, but he has just been beaten down by life and by Japanese capitalism, and now everyone makes jokes about how beautiful his movies are, and by contrast, how kind of grumpy and sour he is in real life. But that's my personal theory about him.
I think if you actually look at the subtext, a lot of his movies are actually incredibly cynical, and they're just about finding the light in an incredibly dark situation. That's almost the theme of every one of his movies, if we're being honest.
I think that there's a lot of acknowledgement of these terrible things like war and pollution and just the way that our society is headed. But I think that he loves highlighting the best parts of humanity. And he loves highlighting that everyone or most people are really good at the core and have good intentions. Like Princess Mononoke. There's our main character Ashitaka, and Ashitaka, he's an interesting character, not because of like his actual traits and what he does, but because he's just kind of exists as a witness to the events that are happening and as this kind of third party. And then we have San, who is the wolf girl, and obviously she's going around killing farmers and like killing the steel workers and killing humans whenever she can. And we have God, what's her name? The Irontown lady. And she is
Are you talking about Eboshi?
Yes, Lady Eboshi.
Yeah.
She's obviously kind of the one who's facilitating this destruction of the forest of the gods, of this. She's the one who's killing magic and destroying these things that are so precious. But with San is obviously one of our main characters. She's very presented in a very sympathetic light. And even Lady Eboshi, who people can say, ooh, Lady Eboshi, she's the one who's killing all the magical creatures and whatever. But Lady Eboshi buys out the contracts of brothel girls and hires them to work for her. And she sympathizes with lepers and houses them and gives them jobs and isn't afraid to be around them. And that's sex workers and lepers are kind of very similar in that they were just kind of completely lacked respect historically. I mean, if you look at the history of sexual slavery in Japan, the whole
Jesus Christ, and we're back here.
The whole thing was, it was just, if you have too much gambling debt, then sell your daughter or your wife to the brothel. And
that's like everywhere. That's like everywhere on Earth. Every square inch of land had that going on at some point in history.
But
I bet the fucking dinosaurs had sexual slavery for they didn't fucking pay back their debts.
But it was more recent and even more widespread. It was like stuff like, obviously this has happened in all sorts of places all across the world, but in general not quite so obviously and recently, and just as this massive widespread issue. And lepers were in for a really long time. Lepers would be like rounded up and sent off to an island somewhere to starve, which makes sense because they had an extremely contagious, terrible disease, but they were just completely treated as inhuman, and that is the same way that women in brothels were treated. And Lady Eboshi picks these people up and dusts them off and gives them new lives. And her character, her character is so good. But
you know who Lady Eboshi?
Kind of...
You know a good real life version of Lady Eboshi is? Mr. Beast.
Shut the fuck up. But Hayao Miyazaki, a lot of people, something that you'll hear a lot is like, oh, Ghibli makes conflict-free stories.
Who says that? That's completely untrue.
Lots of people. And it's wrong. Like, there's obviously conflict, but it's right in that...
Do people think...
Hold on.
Sorry.
It's that there aren't real villains. There aren't these characters who are, like, just explicitly terrible and evil and just antagonistic all of the time. In general, there are obviously exceptions. but it's the kind of classic Ghibli thing is everyone has a good trait, and everyone is somehow likable, despite doing bad things. And I think in that way, all of his work is just incredibly optimistic and just really beautiful. Hayao Miyazaki is my Jesus, if you haven't picked up on it already. But
I'm sure thousands of people have gone on this exact rant, but like I don't like how people will think of something as conflict free, like you said, because no character is like inherently evil for the sake of being evil. There's no fucking Darth Vader, there's no Megatron, there's no Patrick Bateman. All the characters are this word is often misused, humanized. Everybody's humanized, very human characters. And I guess this is a fucking hot take nowadays. I think humanizing terrible, like objectively terrible people is great within art, and it provides us a more like constructive and useful understanding of the world and how things work. Because we're always constantly looking for this inherent evil that's causing all like human suffering on Earth, when in reality it's a variety of forces that are influencing people to do certain things, and almost never are there people who are just straight up evil. I don't believe that like anybody is like has zero good in them, and is just like inherently evil. It's people succumb to forces, and that's really what it's about. It's about these forces.
Yeah.
It's not people. People didn't create evil.
I do think that there is value in representations of villains that are just like, oh, this guy is just like a bad man. That is just,
but they always represent some like
a bad dude.
They always represent some like greater theme though. Those characters do.
Yeah.
Like Patrick Bateman is just capitalism. That's who Patrick Bateman is. So you know what I mean? It's presenting this force as inherently evil.
Yeah. And I'm a big JoJo's Bizarre Adventure fan, and I will say that Dio, the main antagonist from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, he is just a bad dude. He's just evil, and that's his character. And I don't think... See, I do believe that in real life, there are people who are just bad, who just go around hurting people selfishly. And it's that 1% of the population, or slightly less
significantly
than 1%.
Significantly less.
If you look at statistics about people who have some form of psychopathy where they don't feel empathy, like that is around 1% of the population.
I think these are mostly I think 1% of the population succumbs to unambiguously evil forces and can you know what I mean, engage in 100% unambiguous evil. But I don't think these people themselves have no like good in them or like human compassion within their soul.
I see that's kind of not true. I'm actually inclined to be sympathetic, because a lot of these people, what happened was either they were born like that, they just never had empathy, that just was a part of their brain that wasn't functioning, or they went through such terrible trauma as children that part of their brain was killed. And I'm inclined to be sympathetic because none of those people chose that. It's not like they woke up one day and decided, I'm going to be a piece of shit.
Right,
and
but
I think that they're still deserving of dignity and empathy. But there are some people that are just bad, that are just selfish, that hurt people for the sake of hurting people, and just exploit for the sake of exploiting. And I think it's good to acknowledge that they exist.
Are we talking about people who hurt people because, like, for the sake of hurting people, or people who disregard human suffering or like the just physical or emotional reaction of other humans to their actions in the name of like self-interest for self-gain? Because those are two completely different things.
I think either way. I mean, I feel like the difference between those two people for me, like you can be a Patrick Bateman and you can be chopping up women. But at that point, I really just see you as you're almost similar to an animal to me at that point. Like I'm still gonna go.
Well, I'm an animal rights cuck, so
it's you're similar to an animal to me at that point. But and then you have your people who your Elon Musk's and your Jeff Bezos's who just make everyone else's life miserable so that you can profit the most.
Well, I think the whole point of Patrick Bateman is to illustrate. Have you watched or read American Psycho?
Yes.
Okay,
Watched.
so like I think the whole point of Patrick Bateman is to illustrate the amount of human suffering caused by American like greed and hierarchy, and to say basically illustrate that it's the same exact thing, that like entitlement and greed leads to the same exact outcome as horrific like indiscriminate murder does. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's to say that these two are the same. So like as social forces, like this inherent evil and this like greed and disregard for human suffering in the name of self-gain is the same thing regarding as social forces. They're the same. They have the same amount of power, but the difference resides in who the people are inherently. You know what I mean? Who this person is. What this person is doing and what this person is doing and contributing to society could be comparable, right? Being a fucking billionaire in America could literally, if you're like an irresponsible, greedy billionaire, you're probably responsible for a amount of human suffering comparable to a murderer, and you guys are responsible for the same amount of suffering and social harm, but you're not inherently the same thing.
Yeah.
You're not the same person fundamentally. And you're capable. I don't want to say you're capable of changing, because realistically, I don't think Elon Musk is going to wake up one day and fucking donate half of his net worth to charity. But I think that these people, redeemable, maybe, they're human. You know what I mean? They're not inhuman.
Yeah.
They're people who succumb to forces of evil.
Yeah. I mean,
not
we
evil
have,
people.
I mean, in real life, we have, like, our John Wayne Gacy's who are, like, chopping off people's nipples and making them into belts. And it's just, like, this, to me, was comparable to an animal. That's why I think he belonged in a mental health facility rather than a prison. And
so you think this...
I say that, but I think that all people who are going to prison probably need mental health help. But...
Well, yeah. Of course, but like, so what you're saying is that these people, you have difficulty even like prescribing morality or like assessing these people's from a moral standpoint, because they're just so like inhuman and comparable to an animal on a cognitive level.
Yeah.
I think that's possible, but I think there are people who have demonstrated like humanity. And like, you know, like humanity, like more morality, desires, and compassion, but also within certain realms, just a complete lack of sympathy or like justification for like absolute evil. I think people like Hitler demonstrated a lot of humanity and like passion for certain causes, but then turned around and just like, you know, committed the biggest moral atrocity that Earth has ever seen. You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do think that that's true.
That sounded like I was sympathizing with Hitler. Don't forget that. I disavow that. I'm just saying, I'm talking about psychology. I'm not talking about morality.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We've kind of gone off on this tangent, but Hayao Miyazaki's my Jesus. I really think 50 years before his time is an accurate statement, because he was making female characters that are more complex and more human than really pretty much anything that we had seen previously, excluding stuff by female authors and whatnot, and obviously other exceptions. But
I think Miyazaki has presented a level of humanity that is like unmatched even by media today.
Yeah. And especially being in Japan and being in the anime industry. And Japan is an extremely just socially misogynistic Huge issues with that, and that's probably why we see so much tolerance of pedophilia and rape and
the less
Yeah.
respect for women you have, the less respect you have for their agency, and the less respect you have for the agency, the more tolerance you have to rape culture,
Yeah.
to put it bluntly.
Yeah. But Hayao Miyazaki was writing these female characters that he was just way fucking ahead of the curve. And I love him, and if Hayao Miyazaki, I'm anti-war, but if Hayao Miyazaki told me to go to war, I fucking would. I trust that man with my life.
Yeah, and it's a beautiful thing when somebody makes like amazing art, and you can also like the person just illustrates, like you can see the person through the art and appreciate the person for who they are. That's a really unique ability of some artists. Like I'll say the show Breaking Bad like actually like touched my heart in a very unique way, and I was able to relate to a lot of the characters, appreciate a lot of the characters, and just I was fully immersed in this world. But like I don't give a shit about Vince Gilligan as a human being, and he hasn't like he doesn't put any, and I'm not saying this is any artist has an obligation to do this, but within his work there's no like prescription regarding himself. Whereas like Miyazaki, you can clearly see that he has a message. He wants, you know what I mean?
His
It's almost like
is just injected into everything he does.
yes, exactly.
And it's a beautiful worldview. It's just
it doesn't hinder the storytelling at all.
Yeah, it enhances it.
It enhances, and even if you are fucking like I've seen like Nazis love these movies. Like people all across the political spectrum. You don't have to be a fucking like woke shit leftist to appreciate this art. I'm saying it's a beautiful driving force. His worldview is a beautiful driving force for the writing, but it's also not even it's not intrusive at all.
Yeah.
It's uniquely, God, we need to invent new adjectives to describe this shit because it's so layered.
Yeah. I really admire him both as an artist and just as a person above pretty much everyone else. And I'm so excited for his new movie that's gonna be coming out in a few years here. His pace is, he used to be able to like crank out a movie a year almost. But now he's slowed down a lot. He's getting older. And his new movie is gonna be called How Do You Live? I actually read the book that it's based off of. And it's essentially, the book at least, is kids bopifying philosophy, just like distilling down philosophy and putting it into a story in a way that's going to engage kids and get kids into it. And he says that it's his favorite book, and I'm so excited to see where he goes with it. Historically, whenever he's adapted a book, he's kind of elaborated off of it a whole lot and really made it his. And you see that with, like, Howl's Moving Castle. And see, I will say that the book on its own, I wasn't all that into. I found it interesting, and I found it worth reading, but it's not, I'm not going to say that it's, like, one of my favorite books ever, and it's just the shit. But there were definitely moments, like, right at the beginning of the book, it says something about our character is looking off the top of a building and seeing the cars on the street and imagining that they were rhinoceros beetles crawling down the street. And I want to see him animate that. That sounds so cool. It's just such a great moment.
How do you know all this shit about Miyazaki? Is there like a documentary or something that you watched?
There is a documentary. I think there's a couple documentaries actually. And I don't know. I just fucking hear shit, and because it relates to one of my interests, it's stored forever in my brain. Yeah. And I've actually been reading there's a trilogy of books that is just not annotated, but interviews with Hayao Miyazaki just transferred to text, and I've been reading through that. And that gives some information.
Yeah, I think interviews are a pretty good source of information.
Yeah.
I feel like we've barely talked about anime and we're like 2 hours in.
Yeah. Anime episode number 2?
Do we have to do that?
Fuck yeah.
Can we? Okay, we gotta talk, but there's a couple episodes we have to do.
Okay.
And one of them is Trenders.
Yes.
You've wanted to do that for a long time.
Yeah.
I think that was the first thing you suggested.
I think the first
asleep,
thing I
people.
suggested was like Lolicon and Shotacon, because that's something I have a lot of big feelings about that I want to get out there.
I feel like we got a lot of those feelings out today.
Yeah, we did.
I don't even like talking about that for the most part because like I don't know how, like anytime I say it anytime I say anything about like lolly, like 50,000 fucking like lolicons like pop out of the corner, like ready, like an army of them like just pop up and like want to engage with me, and I just don't want to talk to lolicons. I don't want anything to do with them.
That's fair enough.
Like just like lolly discourse on the internet. Like I have a lot of like strong like feelings about it, and I think I can articulate it pretty well. But at the same time, like I just genuinely don't want to engage with these people because like nothing productive is going to come out of it. When I engage with because like with lolicon, it's a very inherent thing. Like sexuality, right? Like it's like, okay, does looking at like drawings of naked children turn you on? Yes or no? And if the answer is no, then you're on one side. And if the answer is yes, then you're on the other side. It's not like when I engage with like alt-right people, like there's some sort of like audience benefit in consuming the discourse. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of just like you either have... I don't think people really change their mind on that topic, nor do I think it's a super productive thing to even talk about. Other than like what I'm...
To change their mind on the topic would be to acknowledge that they're horrible people. And that's a really difficult thing to do. I don't think it's impossible. I think that there are people who can recover from it if they haven't, like, gone and molested children.
I think there exists people who are attracted to, like, lolly content who aren't pedophiles. Like, there are people who say, like, they're just drawings. I'm not attracted to real children. I'm sure that those people are real.
Mm-hmm.
Don't get me wrong. But there's such, like, strong... Like, it's not even, like, the inherent, like... I mean, it is inherent. There's just such strong, like, there's obviously going to be just such strong cultural overlap between lolicon and pedophilia. So much so that I'm comfortable referring to lolicons as pedophiles, generally speaking.
Mm-hmm.
I don't give a shit about the exceptions. You know what I mean? I mean, they're obviously something we need to acknowledge, but generally speaking, it's like I'm sure there are good people in like Nazi circles too who aren't Nazis. And I'm not a Nazi. I just love talking to these people. I just engage with them for fun. You know, it's like whatever. I'm sure there's good people there, but it doesn't change my feelings about the demographic as a whole and the demographic generally speaking.
Yeah.
So whatever. If you are listening and you're deep down inside, you fucking like Dragon Maid, and you don't want to molest children, cool. Whatever, I don't give a shit. But like 99.99999999999% of people who would defend that shit are gross perverts, in my opinion. They're either gross perverts or people who are painfully oblivious to the intentions behind the work.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I see. This is our anime episode, and we're 2 hours and 5 minutes in, and there's still so much that I want to say. And stuff from stuff that we've already talked about that I want to elaborate on further.
Do you want to just like quickly like say like get your final thoughts out there, and then we can elaborate and talk about this more another time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Fuck The Rising of the Shield Hero. That was like a moderately to very popular anime, and I watched it. And it is just fucking incel Meninist propaganda. It is so bad.
What the fuck is Meninist? What does Meninist mean?
People were like, during that anti-feminist phase on the internet, people were calling themselves Meninists.
Oh my god, that's pathetic. I'm sorry.
It is, but
I don't even want to stoop to the low and say that word.
Part of the Rising of the Shield Hero is it starts where this like spoiled princess accuses this guy of rape for no reason, just for like fun, which isn't a thing. Like that's not. I mean, I'm sure that there's this like tiny number of people.
I'm sure one person has done it. I'm sure it's happened.
I'm actually fairly confident in those cases deserve to be acknowledged.
Yeah.
But it's not as widespread.
If that's what you have
as...
to say, if that's what you have to say to the world, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
If that's your big message to society, is that women shouldn't just make up rape allegations. If that's your big message, that's about the reddest of red flags.
Yeah. But okay, I need to keep going with this. And
okay,
then
sorry.
And then so this character is like socially ostracized, and they're like, "Oh, Shield guy, he's a rapist. We all hate him now." And you know what his response is to that, Demigloom?
What?
He goes out and buys a child slave.
What?
He goes out and buys a child because he can't find anyone to be in his adventure party with him. He goes out and buys a child slave, which he proceeds to physically abuse and force into fighting with him. And then, typical isekai logic, she goes from being a little girl, and then all of a sudden she levels up, and now she's a woman and has giant tits, and is in love with him.
Yeah,
and
of course.
She now becomes this main waifu. And there's moments where they're like, you own a slave. She has on shackles and a metal collar, and she's like, no, I like being his slave. I want to keep these shackles and this collar on, and it is just so vile. And then there's this whole revenge fantasy against the woman who falsely accused him of rape for fun, where he has her, like, publicly humiliated and changes her name to bitch, and
Did somebody on R9K write this? Like, what the fuck?
it all really just feels like that whole revenge sequence feels like it's just an excuse to have this thing about fucking torturing and publicly humiliating a woman. Like, that's what they really like. That's what they wanted to.
Well, because they feel that way about women in general, and they want like a woman to be like this illustration of like toxic femininity in society.
Except the woman who wants to have her shackles and collar on. That's the good one. That's the waifu.
Yeah, that's the good woman.
Yeah. And it is so fucking disgusting. And I, at one point, had a friend talk about it and say that they liked it. And I was just so fucking shell-shocked. Because I was like, holy shit, how have we gotten to the point where this person, who isn't even, like, a foaming-at-the-mouth misogynist incel, says that they enjoyed this? And how have we gotten to the point...
Do I know this person?
Yes. I'm not going to tell you who.
Oh my god. Did they go to our school?
Yes.
Oh my god. Were they in film club? Can we play 20 questions?
Stop. Okay.
Was it the person who?
Stop.
Was it that person?
Stop.
Yeah, it was that person.
Stop.
All right, go on.
And this is a person who I still don't think is a bad person. I think he's actually a really good person. But I was just like, holy shit, how did we get here? And the days go by. And it fucking, like, how have we fallen so far as the anime fandom? I hate it. I hate it so much. Oh, and it's so normal. People can just say, oh, I love Rising of the Shield Hero, and no one bats an eye. It frustrates me so much. That was one of the main things that I wanted to get out. How much I hate Rising of the Shield Hero and everyone. Well, I don't hate the people who promote it, because obviously I think this one person is actually pretty cool, but, yeah.
Does this have anything artistically redeeming about it outside of this weird, like, misogynist fantasy?
It doesn't. Nothing. It is just an isekai. That's it.
I've never seen an isekai that wasn't like overtly misogynistic.
There's the hack
I mean, maybe
series.
ReZero. Is ReZero misogynistic? I don't remember.
It is a little bit. It's like, but misogynistic, not in such an overt, disgusting way.
It just presents women in a very like
Provocative.
It enforces a very like traditional understanding of like the female role in society and human interaction.
Yeah.
Which I mean, like, I think most media, to be quite honest, is guilty of that. So it's not like ReZero is like uniquely misogynistic, at least to my memory.
Yeah.
It's been like 2 years though, so I could be incredibly wrong.
Yeah. You're right about that. And that's another thing that I feel kind of differentiates Hayao Miyazaki's work, because we have these shows that have female empowerment, or we think it does. And one of the kind of, this isn't anime, but one of the kind of classic examples is Buffy the Vampire Slayer, where we have all of these badass women that are going around kicking people's asses. But when you actually think about it a little bit harder, it is a very fetishized view of women. Same thing with Kill Bill. It's women can be cutthroat and badass when and how I want them to. And it turns out the creator of Buffy the Vampire Slayer is a terrible, horrible person. I'm not remembering completely, but there were some pretty bad abuse allegations. But Hayao Miyazaki's work, as a contrast, is really seeing them as people. We don't have the Buffy the Vampire Slayer kind of performative badassery and we can say, oh, she's a badass, so it can't be misogynistic, but Hayao Miyazaki's work isn't like that. It is these real, human, extremely complex female characters.
Yeah, and there are badass women in the movies, but like it's clearly not like performative or snobby.
Yeah.
Snotty.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that is kind of chronic in anime. Like, for example, there's more issues with Attack on Titan. But Mikasa from Attack on Titan, I absolutely hate Mikasa's character, because she goes around and she's like this superhuman, total badass, and this super soldier, and she's so cool, but at the same time, all she thinks about is this male character, and she just completely revolves around him. And it's just, that's a pretty egregious example in my eyes. Like, everything about her is made to be bounced off of Aaron's character, and I hate it. I hate it so much. And then everyone will act like Attack on Titan is all female empowerment, which it is on certain levels, but it just has these egregious examples.
Huh. I've never watched or read Attack on Titan.
Don't.
Yeah, I mean,
watch or read Attack on Titan. It's
all the people who I trust when it comes to anime all say that it's not great.
Yeah. I mean, I was really into it for quite a long time, but that's because for a long time I saw it as like a really meaningful allegory about about genocide and about the Holocaust. And then in the latter part of it, it just took a left turn and just went down this road where all of a sudden we are justifying genocide, and we are trying desperately to get our viewers to sympathize with people perpetrating genocide and people doing these terrible things, which I think that it's true that not everyone in Hitler's Nazi army, I don't think that they were all just irredeemable psychopaths. Like, obviously there are just people who were roped into that, but I don't think that it's beneficial in most instances to start sympathizing with people who are perpetrating genocide.
I
There
think sympathizing with people who are perpetrating genocide, no, but I think presenting that, like, illustrating just how, like, otherwise human people can get roped up into like unambiguous, I keep saying unambiguously evil, how seemingly normal people who are seemingly moral and redeeming in many ways can get roped into committing atrocities, I think is a very important thing to instill into people. But I don't know how Attack on Titan handled it.
I
So I'm
I
not speaking
completely
to that.
agree with that. And actually that's something that I love talking about with my favorite movie, The Wind Rises. One of Hayao Miyazaki's, well, it was his most recent movie. Um uh which is about a real person who designed fighter planes for Japan in World War II. Obviously, Japan was a terrible imperialistic force committing unspeakable atrocities all across Asia. Um, but it shows this a piece of this well-oiled Japan military machine that is very human, and he's really just a man living his life and experiencing tragedy completely separate from war. And I see so much value in that. But in the way that Attack on Titan does it, it doesn't have us sympathizing with this guy who's almost unknowingly being roped into these atrocities. It's getting you to sympathize with the person who is perpetrating the atrocities. It's getting you to sympathize with the Hitlers. And
Yeah.
that is just fucking, like, there's no utilitarian part about it. There's nothing good about it. There's nothing redeeming about it. And
Well, I
hate
guess the
it.
question is it presenting their actual actions in a positive light?
Uh See, it's complicated. It's not exactly. It's trying to get you to see how fucked up it is what this character is doing. But then you'll turn around and you'll look at fans, and like 50 to 75% of the fans all sympathize with this character because we've known him for 4 seasons. Obviously, we watched him grow up. Of course, you're going to be inclined to sympathize with him at first. And people justifying the fact that he's going around almost indiscriminately killing people, and crushing children with rocks and shit. And it's just like, oh my god. It's the point is right in front of their faces, and still they manage to miss it. And it's also, see, I think that is really bad, and that was just, even if the creator wasn't intending to have that effect, it was just an awful mistake. But setting that aside, even, it ends up in the later parts of it ends up paralleling the Holocaust and paralleling Jews in a way that is just really, really offensive and unhelpful, and just, why the fuck are we doing this?
Yeah.
I found a lot of meaning in Attack on Titan for its representation of the horror of war and just how terrible war is. But it just fucking went off the rails, and it makes me so sad. And it's getting people to sympathize with these ideas, and it just, oh god.
Yeah. It sounds, I mean, from what you're describing, it sounds pretty bad.
It's really, it makes me so unhappy. Yeah, and there's so many of these issues in anime, and for me, I continue consuming stuff because when I find something that's good, it's really, really good, and it's just so inspiring and brings me so much joy. But there's so much bad, and I don't blame you for not wanting to watch anime, because there's so much bad.
Yeah,
And
and
I think a
I just
lot
have
of
a very
people,
difficult time, like, stomaching the bad stuff. Like, I don't want to have to roll the dice and wonder if there's gonna be if like I'm gonna see a fucking child get raped in an erotically like presented manner. Like I
Yeah.
don't want to have to take that risk when watching something. And I know when I watch a fucking American cartoon or a cartoon that's anything that's not anime, I don't have to worry about that
Yeah.
for the most part.
Yeah.
Not to say that there isn't horrific sexualization of children in American media, because I could go on all day about that, but it's more consistently apparent and present in anime,
Yeah.
especially popular anime.
Yeah. Man, I'm gonna go watch One Piece.
All right, where can our listeners find? Make a fucking YouTube channel, you
Okay.
dumb idiot.
Okay.
You make that you say okay in that same exact voice every single time, but you don't do it.
I'm
Do it.
Okay. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. But for now, find me on Twitter. Twitter that I barely log into. Or you could even find me on Tumblr if you wanted to see me post about cringe fandom stuff. And anime and One Piece mostly.
I've been considering getting on Tumblr. My Twitter is like tanked lately. Like nobody fucking engages with me on there anymore. I took like a month-long break and came back to 0 fans. So might hit the reset button, try a better platform.
Yeah. People, I mean, unless you post about fandom stuff, you probably aren't going to get much engagement on Tumblr. There's that, like, I have no fucking idea how people do it, where people shitpost with no tags and somehow get a wildly popular Tumblr post. It's because they have an existing following, but, yeah, Tumblr's weird. I should make an Instagram, Felonious Ferris Instagram, too.
Yeah, you should.
And where can
you
they find you?
Me, you could find me. I don't even, man, this is where I want people to find me. Like this is like this podcast and the Issue Crew podcast, which I host with my good pals. Is it's a topic based podcast where I talk to people who aren't unhinged leftists like you and I, and it's actually. I don't know. I've been kind of debating in my head whether I think the Issue Crew or Middle School GSA is a more quality product. I definitely love Middle School GSA much more than anything else that I do, but the Issue Crew is really good podcast. I think more people should listen to it. Look up the Issue Crew on any podcast platform or YouTube, and yeah, it's great because I get really angry on the Issue Crew, and you'll like me when I'm angry. Everybody says that I'm like way more entertaining when I get really pissed. It's not fun for me, but it's fun for the viewers. So just look up the Issue Crew. Otherwise, I'm technically on Twitter, Instagram, and Twitter and Instagram, and also I have a YouTube channel called Demigloom. Just look that up. I rarely post anything on there anymore. I make political video essays. That's the goal. But like funny political video essays. But yeah, I've been Demigloom.
And I've been Felonious Ferris.
All right.